Well, good morning, everyone. My name is MightyStream, and today is September the 10th. And I am looking forward to doing your spiritual principle a day in a meditation. I'm brought to you by Hope Through Navigation, and this is our H.O.O.D Recovery Services. If you need to reach me, please do so at recoveryofhope21@gmail.com. Let's go ahead and get into the meditation. Hopefully you can see that. September the 10th. Surrendering to a new way of life. Admitting our powerlessness is a surrender, an admission that we don't know the solution to our problems. That is taken from IP number 17 for those in treatment, Recovery in Narcotics Anonymous. Admitting powerlessness over our addiction is often the first time we surrender to anything. Never mind the fact that we used to surrender to the drugs every day. Many of us had tried to clean up on our own without success. We couldn't control our using. So, what makes us think we can control our recovery? We experience one of the greatest paradoxes in NA when we let go of our attempts to control the recovery process and find peace and freedom as a result. One member shared, surrender is like learning how to float in water. Instead of thrashing about, it's a process of letting go. We can surrender quietly to this new way of life and allow the experiences of other addicts to guide our next steps. There is a sense of relief that accompanies surrender, a peace in powerlessness. Giving up our illusions of self-control frees us to become better versions of ourselves. And in NA, we don't have to walk this journey alone. We ask for help when we need it. Sometimes that's the hardest thing we do, but it gets easier with practice. We learn to surrender our old ideals, listen to suggestions, consult a higher power, and make up our minds about what course of action we need to take. We do the footwork, let go of the outcome, and move on, confident that surrender will help us accept whatever unfolds. I will practice admitting my powerlessness in any situation and free myself to see new solutions. I will surrender the things I can't control. Let's take a moment of silence, followed by the we version of the Serenity Prayer. Moment of silence now, please. Thank you. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. That's powerful. That is a very powerful spiritual principle of surrendering to a new way of life. And it's pointed, right? It's talking about admitting our powerlessness as a newcomer, but then it goes on to talk about how we can do it in every area of our lives. So it's also talking about how we take this spiritual principle of surrender and we can perfect it. We can practice it over and over and over with every issue, everything that comes to try us, we can actually practice. It's very important to realize that where you start out at, and if you're a newcomer or you're coming back newly, I'm talking to you, but where you start out at is not where you're going to end up. You learning how to surrender to the disease of addiction and realize that you're powerless over it is just the first step, literally and spiritually, of learning how to surrender. They used to have this saying, there's only one step that you need to get right. Only one step you need to do perfectly. And it's the first step. You need to surrender. Admit that you're powerless over the disease of addiction and that your life has become unmanageable. You need to get that right. But what if you don't? You're going to get it if you get a chance, because the basic text tells us if we can, if and when we can, we come back, right? If you get an opportunity to surrender again, this time make it up in your mind. I'm going to figure out what I did wrong, but I'm going to work this first step like my life depends on it, because it probably does. It probably really does. This is serious. I'm here with my little coffee on the side, thinking about crossing my legs. When I cross my legs, is when I'm really settling in to have a conversation. Yeah, because this is serious. But it's just your first opportunity to learn surrender in a manner where when we talk about we surrender to win, yeah, that's what this is. Surrendering to win. And when you surrender to win, and when you get that into your DNA and you learn that you're winning as a result of giving up, you're actually winning. It's like a paradox. And it says it here clearly. We experience one of the greatest paradoxes in NA when we let go of our attempts to control the recovery process and find peace and freedom as a result. Yeah. And so when we do that, there's other things that begin to flow naturally. When we let go of trying to control something that we haven't been able to control, we surrendered to drugs every day. Why not surrender to recovery? And when we learn to just let things unfold, we get other opportunities to surrender over and over and over. And before you know it, you've put a history together of surrendering, not to everything, but to all the right things. You begin to learn when you need to surrender. You begin to learn when this is something that you actually need to push yourself more on. You need to step up to the plate. This is not something you need to back away from and surrender and, oh, I'm so weak. No, 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 no. You begin to learn the difference. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. The wisdom is what comes along with your experience. That's why when we look at our grandmas and our papas, our grandpas, right, we think of them as wise old people. They didn't get wise overnight. They started at a certain point in life and started to develop awareness and learn lessons, right? And accumulated over 80 years a wealth of experience, strengths, and hope that have become wisdom that they could share with other people. Your life is just the same. You can get it now, you can get it later, you can get it easy, or you can get it hard. But one thing is for sure, you're going to get there. If you keep putting one foot in front of the other, this is very serious. And I love it. I love the topic of having an opportunity to learn the spiritual principle of surrender. Like I was saying, like this is, you start out at step 1, but by the time you get to step 12, remember, having had a spiritual awakening, right? You're practicing these spiritual principles in all of your affairs. And as a result, now we try to carry the message to the addict that is suffering. We ultimately are able to take the surrender from the first step, apply it through all those other steps, and now we learn when we need surrender. We have that wisdom of knowing, having knowledge in how to apply it and when to apply it. That is wisdom. We know when and how to surrender. And now we give back what was freely given to us. We help others. Generally speaking, it may not even be one-on-one or in sponsorship, just it may be in how we live our lives. It may be carrying the message, sharing when someone asks you to share. It may be sharing in a meeting. It may be, something recently that happened to me, sitting in a meeting and reminiscing about how I used to share and being able to pull someone aside and say, it almost sounds like a malicious share. It almost sounds like, oh, I hate to even think of it. It almost sounds like you hate the people that you're recovering with. And I know you're angry because I've been here before. There's some things you have to be conscientious that we share. Our gratitude speaks when we care, and when we share the NA way. There's a sweet science to being angry and upset, even with people in the room, and knowing how to share in a way that is not a malicious share or a sniper share. There's a sweet science to being able to do that work. And one of them is sometimes going to a meeting that no one that you know is going to be at, and sharing your experience, strength, and hope with that, right? What you're going through, because it's affecting your recovery. You have a right to share it, but you need to be conscientious of how you share it. That's wisdom that I gained from trial and error, right? And now, my having practiced surrender, now I'm in the 12th step, and I'm able to share that with someone else in a way that's palatable for them, that they can receive. Surrender is one of those foundational, just like honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. Surrender is one of those foundational spiritual principles that we want, we need, and we will always, I promise you, as long as you have breath in your body, you will always be in a position where you can surrender to something. And a lot of times it's not just, I don't even want to do the conversation. Let me let that go. No, a lot of times you still need to do the conversation, but the spirit in which you do it is not ready to be engaged. You can surrender and let things kind of walk themselves out naturally until you calm down and reassess and talk to your sponsor and get a good grip on it before you dare to approach it. Because, ethically speaking, we don't want to cause harm to other people. We want to make sure that we're building relationships, not destroying them the way that we used to do. I'm excited about today. Today is a big day in our community. We're going to be having a wellness and recovery festival with some performers, people singing. There's going to be plenty of vendors. And if you're local, it's going to be at the Mayor's Front, Mayor's Riverfront. It's over there by Mill Street. And it's going to be kicking off at 11 p.m. today. And it's going to go clear until 4 or 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Excuse me, I misspoke there. So I'm looking forward to Hope Through Navigation. We're going to have a table there. We're going to be setting up. I'm also going to be doing photography for the event so that I can create some content for them. Can you believe it? Can you believe it's something that I actually am good at doing and love to do? Is now going to be used on a much larger scale. Hundreds of people expected today. I'm looking forward to that, And I think that can happen for you too. Stay positive, stay encouraged. I also need to tell you guys that on Monday at the Feel the Love group of NA, we're going to be celebrating my 29th year. I know some time has passed. It was actually on August 28th, but there was so much going on. But we're going to celebrate my 29th year in the program. And I am going to, for those of you that are members of Narcotics Anonymous, I'm going to be posting somewhere, right? I'm going to post somewhere the Zoom link so that you can join us on Monday. I will be chairing the Zoom portion. It's a hybrid meeting. I will be chairing or hosting that portion of the meeting, and it begins at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So wherever you're at in the world, you're welcome to attend, and I will see you soon. I will stop the share here. Enjoy your day. I plan to take it by force, enjoy the day on purpose, and I'll be talking to you tomorrow.